If your PlayStation 5 won't turn on, shuts off randomly, or just beeps once and dies, don't replace it yet. Most PlayStation 5s aren't actually dead at all. They're failing just one simple power check. In this video, I'll show you exactly what to do to diagnose it, what tools or parts actually fix the problem. But before we get too deep into this, I always want to make sure one thing is very clear. I have done a lot of repairs in my life, so I feel confident opening things. I also have tools at my disposal to do so. What you are going to do if you open your PlayStation 5 does carry some risk, may in fact void your warranties, and should not be done by the faint of heart. But let's be honest, we all know why you're here. You don't have a lot of options right now, and I feel you. That's why I've put this together. If you're in that group and you're still with me, I'm not gonna lie to you, there is some risk. And if that makes you feel uncomfortable still and you don't really have a DIY spirit, feel free to look into repair options. And here's a major truth. Every PlayStation 5 power issue is one of 4 categories. Type A, totally dead ones. No beep, no lights, and no fan. This is a true power delivery failure. Type B, the beep and then shut off. Your console reacts instantly when you press the button, but then it instantly shuts down. This is a PSU safety protection, and what it means is either voltage or heat is triggering a shutdown in your PlayStation 5. Type C, the boots and then dies. Turns on fine, then crashes under load. That's airflow or overheating, and it's the most common power issue of them all. Then Type D, the most annoying of them all, random power losses. That's usually unstable current or worn cables. Identify which one you have now, if you can, because each one has its own specific fix. But each one is fixable, and I'm here to get you through it. Anytime we're trying to diagnose a PlayStation 5, I always like to take a look at the external stuff first. Step 1, we're gonna go ahead and move your PlayStation 5 to a different outlet. Old or shared outlets can cause voltage dips that look exactly like console failure. I've seen this fix so many PlayStation 5s, and it's just because there's not enough juice in every outlet. Step number 2, we're gonna talk about replacing the power cable. Bad cables disconnect under load. A new PS5 rated cable is the best $10 fix you're ever gonna find. And it's part of our rescue pack for that reason if you don't have an extra one laying around, but most people do. You want to make sure you don't use a bad one, but the one from your other consoles or other consumer electronics will likely do at least for the test. If it works at that point, that means you need another AC adapter like the one you see on your screen now. Step 3, surge stabilization. Real talk for a minute. Cheap power strips do not regulate voltage. A regulated surge protector stabilizes current, and that alone fixes a shutdown for most people, but way more importantly can stop serious issues from happening to your electronics at home anyways. Stop using power strips. They're only a couple more dollars than an actual surge protector. You don't have to believe me, actually, I wanted to pull this up real time. You can get this for as low as 19 bucks. Compared to this one, for half the price, you see it's only called a power strip. I make that point because a lot of people use these thinking that they're doing something that they're just simply not. Is there zero protection? Probably not. I'm guessing that there's something there at the very least. But this saves so many PlayStation 5s, it's absolutely insane. If your PlayStation 5 stabilizes at that point, congratulations. Your console was never broken, it was a simple fix all along. For most of you, I feel like we're gonna lose you at this point. Please comment below. Let us know that this worked for you. It also helps others find this when they need this help too. For the rest of you guys, we're not out of the woods yet, but we're gonna get there. If you still have problems, we're gonna have to start moving towards the internal fixes. But we're gonna start off easy. I wanted to take the time and show you guys some of the tools we have here. In case you haven't ever done a repair like this before, you might need some of these things. Don't go in half-cocked. That's how you're gonna break something. You're going to want Torx security drivers, an electric blower or vacuum, soft brushes like these, thermal pads, and of course whatever you're going to need to make this job a little bit easier. Personally, I like to wear gloves, keeps nasty grime off your fingers, but also keeps your nasty grime off the PlayStation. It's mutually respectful. I also like to use some type of light because in my experience, it's easier to see. First, we're gonna go ahead and walk through a dust and fan cleaning. This step doesn't void any warranties. Sony wants you to do it, and that's because dust equals heat, heat equals automatic shutdowns. Most people think that power failed when your system just overheated and then saved itself. First, we always start by opening these up. They're pretty easy to do. What you're going to use is the palm of your hand to press down on the plate and the tips of your fingers to pull up on the edge there. And I always like to start on this side. That's because if we go into the fan on the next side, it's a little bit easier. Always make sure you're giving yourself enough room to work in. You're using the tips of your fingers again and the palm of your hand against the plate to pry up with your fingers and create leverage to pull that off. It snaps off. It's made to do this, so it doesn't feel wrong at all. You can see these little clips here. They do a great job. You don't want to break them off though, so don't use a crazy amount of force either. Truth is, I don't know if you can see this dust here, but there is a decent amount of dust in this unit. We cleaned out this unit for a buddy of mine because he didn't know this was ever something you were supposed to do. Same thing on this side. You're going to use the tips of your finger and the palm of your hand to pull up and open up these clips. You see that amount of dust on the inside of this. This is one of the holes that actually chokes out your PlayStation 5 if it actually gets too full. Same thing though, we're going to pull up on this panel as well. They all come off the same way. Just make sure that the front of the PlayStation 5 is facing away from you and that you're working slowly around. I got unsure here a little bit, so I took my time. I don't want to damage anything, neither do you. And sometimes these things just take a little bit of extra force. You don't want to be jerking it off. Now that we've got the panels on this side taken off, you can see here that there's a ton of dust just caked on. We're going to peel that off here. And I'm going to try and get you to see this here. But you can see in here, there's a bunch of dust in on the fan here. We're going to have to go deep into this repair, I can already tell. You don't want to blow into this area though. A lot of times people will blow in that. That's just going to push more dust in. So in most units I open up, you're not seeing a ton of dust in general. You're seeing just a little bit like this. And then when you get in, you see it a lot. I'm using an electric blower here. The truth is, I do not like using air cans. They're not good for the environment. I'm not one of those guys. But also, it's not good for your PlayStation 5. You're spitting liquid into it every time you do it. And a lot of times it creates paper mache that makes these impossible effects. So don't do that. I think this blower was like 30 bucks. I think a really nice one is 70. That's 4 or 5 cans of air. Always blow away from the unit. You don't want to blow deep into the unit. So first off, anytime you're dealing with devices like this, I always say use a plastic spludger. You can go ahead and pull this off if you'd like to. Easiest way is use it like a key, insert and pop. Not a big deal. Save that because we're going to put that back here in a minute. Now for these types of connectors, and then you can just wiggle it out like this. Here you're going to want to use your Torx 8 or Torx 9-bit. I like starting a little bit bigger on these because they're security Torx. What that means is if you start with a smaller one, you're more likely to strip it. And I'm going to show you my masterful, bestest ever way to keep every screw exactly where every screw goes. Look, I took it out of this corner and it goes here in that corner. This one, taking it out of this corner. And here's the thing with these security screws, you don't want to go too hard. If it feels stuck, rock it. You see I've just worked around and I've kept every screw in each corner. I like to make sure the orientation is right. This way you can't mess it up. I like making this stuff foolproof for myself. Now gingerly go ahead and pull up the fan and you can see here, it's a lot of dust in there. Not a crazy amount though. It never is, because it doesn't take that much to actually choke up your PlayStation 5. I'm gonna go ahead and use my electric blower again, and I'm gonna blow it out. I'm trying to not let the fans just spin like crazy. That's not the goal here. And of course you wanna blow away from yourself, away from other people, and away from electronics. You can see I'm blowing into the fins here, trying to get it all broken up. And listen, it's okay to use brushes on these types of things. Your goal isn't to hardcore scrape anything. But you do want to get as much dust out and cleaned off as humanly possible. And you can see it. Look at how much is in there. A crazy amount. But like I said, it never looks like a lot. Not on the outside. But that's all it takes. We saved this PlayStation 5 by doing this cleaning procedure. Now for a lot of you, if you're having intermittent issues and you don't see dust on that heatsink the way I just showed, and I mean like clean, not like there was only one clump, you showed 3, then this might be all you had to do. Also, congratulations. But for the rest of us, we're going to move deeper into this operation. We're going to go ahead and move this screw here, holding the SSD door. We're going to go ahead and start removing the Torx screws across the body. Now, the way you pull these disk drives off, you don't pull from, you're going to pull up right, not here ever, right here. And it just comes right up. What's nice about the PlayStation 5 is you can see this plug here, it's all modular. We always got to get this screw that's underneath here. I swapped it back around because you want to make sure you don't mess up your orientation when you're putting your screws on your mat if you're using my method. Some people will draw a diagram. You can do that too, but it messes up the mat over time. There was 4 screws that are exposed, and then you see here, this is the warranty step. You got to pull this off, and as you can see, it reveals the PlayStation logo, indicating that this PlayStation 5 has been meddled with, and now Sony will never take it serious again or something. And I took the screw out from underneath there, so we're SOL. I put that sticker on there because I'm going to stick it back in there, because even though it means nothing, it means something to me. Now we're going to use our screwdriver to pull out the SSD flap. Just going to set that to the side here, and then that whole thing just comes right up. I'm wiping the dust off the heatsink here. You can use the fan to do it. I use the brush. Just make sure it's an ESD safe brush. Flipping the console over to remove the remaining screws. Before we can actually take this board sandwich out, we've got to take off this flap that's holding down this flex connector onto the board. It's important that we do a good job and not damage this flex connector because it will set us back a good bit. Take that metal flap off, just like the SSD flap, just more screws. Then this is a really interesting ZIF connector because it just got a little trigger. You press down on it. Sorry, trying to get good footage of this is very difficult with my camera angle, but you're gonna push down on this button right here and then pull gently on this black tab. That's going to free your connector completely. Once it's free, make sure that you've gone ahead and taken care of your antennas as well. And then we're just going to gently lift it out of here. Sometimes it feels a little bit stuck. That's just because it's got all types of reasons to stay in the casing. Just wiggle it around a little bit and get it out of there. But you want to do it gingerly. Don't do anything crazy. Don't pull too hard. Don't rip. You've got your heat sinks right here. You've also got your battery, if you ever got to replace that. Working back around, I'm blowing everything off again. Want to make sure I'm getting all the dust out of the fins where possible. Now here's the thing. You have, underneath this metal tray here, you got a few different options. I think it's something like 42 screws or something. The chipset everybody talks about with the liquid metal issue sits right here. I did not do that repair in this video. I'm sure I will eventually do it in another video. Which reminds me, if you've got a broken PlayStation 5 that you've given up on and you'd like to donate to the cause, message me. Trying to see if we can bring some zombies back from the dead, and also trying to ensure that we get good footage for people so that future repairs are easier and easier as time goes on. Any support of Techyamo Labs is greatly appreciated, but I digress, let's move on. For most power issues, you can go under here, you can go ahead and replace the thermal paste, the liquid metal. There's tons of different repairs that lie underneath that metal sheet. But that one's for the really not faint of heart. If you feel comfortable doing that, I've probably been pretty boring up to this point to you. In which case, it's not going to get better, I apologize. You and I could probably nerd out on a completely different level, but we're looking at PS5 repairability. Because of how modular it is, there's a really good chance that even if you know nothing, you could still fix your PlayStation 5. But we're not going under that metal sheet today. If you did go under that sheet, I wanted to give you a couple pointers as to what to look out for. This is going to help tell if you have a motherboard issue or a PSU issue. I say this because a lot of times before I embark on a type of repair, I want to make sure that I know exactly what I'm getting into before I buy repair parts. The PSU isn't crazy expensive, it's only 80 bucks, but if I could have checked under that plate before I replaced something like that, I didn't need to in either case here, but I would have checked for burn marks, I would have looked for things that looked singed or blackened, because something like that could point at a motherboard issue, and I want to make sure I'm not wasting my time and money. But for most of you, that's like a kiss of death. If you're in that boat, my philosophy has always been, you have nothing to lose, you should use this as your opportunity to learn. But if you see something burnt here, it's a motherboard. My goal with that specific repair was a cleaning for my buddy, but now we're taking out the PSU. It just slides right out of the metal frame. Alright, so we want to check this also for any burn marks, anything looking melted. A lot of times your PSU is going to tell you if it's good or bad just with those signs. You can see on this one that there's some dust right here in the actual grates. I've seen people try to take these apart further. I don't suggest doing that. It's not really worth it, I don't think. But if you see burn marks, corrosion, melted connectors, or loose contacts, that's real damage that's going to point at replacement of your PSU. If it looks clean though, your power supply is probably fine. You're going to go ahead and just clean all this up. You can also make sure that you're cleaning out the connectors. In a lot of cases, they just get dirty. Cleaning stuff like that is going to fix a lot of your random shutdown issues. But now we've got a real conversation to have. Once you put your PlayStation 5 together, hopefully the cleaning worked, because not all PSUs or power supplies are at fault. But if you get your PlayStation 5 back together and everything functions fine, great. But for some of you, I know that that's not going to be the case. And we're going to talk about repairability. In most cases, you can actually get a power supply. They're only 89 bucks right now at the time of filming. For the PlayStation 5 Slim, this is the digital version. Make sure when you're searching for a PlayStation 5 PSU for replacement that you're actually using your model number on your PlayStation 5 to match it up. This one, for instance, is for the PlayStation 5 Pro. The last one I showed was for the PlayStation 5 Slim Digital, and there's other variants. But let's get to the honest rule. When it comes to repair or replacement, if your PlayStation 5 beeps and then shuts off, crashes during play, had a bunch of dust buildup, or has cable or outlet instability, then there's tons of cheaper options than repair. I bring this up because I see a lot of people bringing their stuff in for repair, only to bring it back to the house and have the exact same problem. It could have always been that same outlet, and some repair shop just charges it. For what? I don't know. In many cases they think they've done something, I'm sure. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. But simply getting good surge protectors and cabling, getting yourself a good cleaning, is going to be the best fix. And you should absolutely replace your PSU if your PlayStation 5 has no beep ever, no fan movement, and zero response. Especially after you've tried to clean it out. Because in many cases, like I was saying before, that's just surge or lightning damage that's been caused to your PlayStation 5. Why I was suggesting putting it on a surge protector in the first place earlier. But if you're in that boat, only then should you replace your power supply. And like I said, make sure you match up your model number. I linked to the replacement PSUs that I was showing and a bunch of the tools that I showed as well. Because I'm trying to make sure you guys have the real tools to use so that we can get your PlayStation 5 fixed fast. And that's the whole reason why we built this Power Rescue Pack. It contains in it precisely the tools and the parts to solve over 90% of all PlayStation 5 issues. Now some of those are chip level, motherboard repairs that many people are not going to be capable of. But for 85% of you, all of these steps that I showed today are within reach. The power pack I showed includes the security torques, replacement fans, fan screens to keep dust out, thermal pads, and even regulated surge protectors for those of you who haven't yet gotten one. The link in the description handles every non-catastrophic failure, and in my experience saves most people hundreds on their consoles, because you don't have to go get it repaired by a technician or replace it. The PlayStation 5 is completely modular. You saw how very easy it was for me to get all the way to the PSU. If you needed to replace it, you could do the same. So instead of dropping $300 on a repair, $500 on a new PlayStation 5, you could probably get all this done for under $150 in tools and parts. But then you'd also have the know-how on how to keep your PlayStation 5 alive for basically ever. If your PlayStation 5 is unstable, shutting off, or not powering on, always start with diagnostics, not replacements. The full power rescue pack and individual parts are listed out in my bio. Try this repair first, especially if you're thinking about chucking your PlayStation 5 anyways, or if it's going into the Neverland closet. If you need help after that, you can always hit me in the comments, DM me basically everywhere. Just fix the problem, don't just replace your console. I'm David G with Techiyamo Labs, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.